Hey everybody, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Smoke Meat's brought to you by Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar Building. Such a great place to go. Jeremy and the gang want to make sure that everybody has a great time. Everybody feels like family from the first time you walk in. Such a great place. Great food, great drinks, great people. Remember, I goes to Joe's and so should you. That's Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in the bottom of the Lamar Building, Augusta, Georgia. Today, my guest is Mr. John Robb. John has been into the music scene for a long, long time. He's been into all kind of different music. Does a lot of punk. Was in the band The Membranes and Goldblade. Now he is the founder and owner of Louder Than War magazine, and they celebrate any kind of music anywhere. They have no limits. They don't have one particular style they celebrate. They celebrate music in general, and it's such a great thing because music is a wonderful thing, and it brings people together, and that's his goal. So without further ado, we're going to get this beast kicked off here on Smoked Meat. Hey, how are you doing today, John?
I'm doing good. I'm speaking to you from Manchester, England. It's not that sunny. Where are you? Are you in New York?
I'm in Georgia. I'm in just south of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I've been to Atlanta, Georgia. We played a gig there about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice city actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it. We've been up here for about 4 years now.
So where are you from originally?
I'm from east just a little bit. I'm from Augusta.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like moving from New York or LA there, is it?
No.
It's going to a bigger city.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man, I know you've been in the music business for just a minute or two, haven't you?
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Since the late 70s after punk rock. Got us all excited about music when we were growing up.
Yeah, I've always loved music. Kind of got into punk a little bit when I was younger, but being in the South, it wasn't really a big thing, But I love all music.
UK, because the UK is smaller, one idea can travel the whole country really quickly.
Yeah.
But USA is massive. I mean, every time I've been on tour there, you always forget how big America is.
Yeah.
So I've done the coast-to-coast drive a few times. It's about 5 days. Yeah, it's quite epic. Yeah, the big sky.
Oh yeah. I tell you, a lot of good music's come out of the UK, and a lot of it's inspired musicians here and everywhere. And that's the great thing about music. It doesn't have boundaries for the most part. It's what you like.
Even nowadays, even better now because on the internet you can hear music from all over the world.
Yeah.
It's just wide open, just great musical ideas just popping up from everywhere.
Yeah, and the neat thing about it is, like I said, with the internet and everything, and I've started interviewing a lot more musicians, and each one has given me new people to listen to, and my musical, my tastes have opened up so much, and I'm learning so much cool stuff, and getting a lot of new bands, and I'm loving it. And
I would argue that we're actually living in a golden musical period. There's more music there now to listen to, and it's all of a higher kind of standard as well. So it's the hardest thing now in music is keeping up with it because there's so much of it. When I was growing up, there was about 20 bands who were really good, but now there could be 20 bands in every city who are really good. How do you hear them all?
Yeah. I remember when to record, you had to have a studio. You had to, spend money on tape. That 2-inch tape wasn't cheap at all, and it took a whole lot to record. Now,
your phone.
Yeah, now you can just pick up the phone and boom, you're done. And I think
it's all about great ideas. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's a wonderful thing, and like I say, it's helping creative people who wouldn't have been able to record even 20 years ago to put out stuff that is just wonderful right now. Some of it isn't too great, but a lot of it is. And
Yeah, I mean that's the downside because there's more of it. There's going to be more bad stuff as well.
yeah,
And just so it's like a tsunami of music coming towards you. So when I write my, because I run a music website, and every day there's about 2,000 emails. It's just impossible to get through it all.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's but when you find the gems, it's really worth it.
Yeah, and I was actually looking at your website the last couple of days. Is something louder than war? Is that the one that you're talking about? Making sure we're on the same
Yeah,
page. Yeah,
that's my website.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
really great website. I've enjoyed going through it. And what I loved the manifesto. I don't see that on a lot of websites, and it's such a good one.
yeah. We figured it'd be good to say why we did it and what we were here for. You know, just so people could try and catch us out.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's quite good. I mean, it's sort of serious, but kind of funny at the same time.
yeah, exactly. And it's like I said, with every joke, there's a little bit of truth to it. And man, I love it. It's just there's so many cool things in it. To keep on moving. I like that because you got to keep moving.
Yeah,
You got to keep creating.
yeah. Well, if you're a creative person, you don't often get the choice because the ideas come into your head anyway.
Yeah,
You have to get them down, whether it's a piece of writing or a piece of music or a film or a radio show. It's that's the two parts of it. One's having the idea, and the other one's finishing the idea off.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I tell you, man, I could imagine the experiences you have in the music business. Plus, like I said, you're getting 2,000 emails a day with people saying, "Hey, listen to
Yeah,
this,"
well,
and
being because I've been here a long time and also been on top of a lot of things. So a band like Nirvana, I was the first person in the world to interview them, even though they're on the other side of the world, even though they're over in Seattle and I was in Manchester, but no one had written about them at the time, so I was on them first,
yeah,
which is quite bizarre. I had no idea they're going to be popular, but they got huge about a year and a half later. So there's a lot of examples like that.
yeah. Yeah, and I was actually about to mention that I had heard that you were the first one to interview them, and that.
Yeah,
How did
yeah,
that happen?
because when I heard a cassette of the first single, uh, quite a long time before it came out, and somebody just gave it me, and most people didn't really like it. They were listening at the time. I said, "This is just amazing. His voice is killer." So I phoned him up, and it's his mum's house, and his mother answered the phone. Because they were just like a little teenage band at the time, and I could hear her shouting upstairs, "Kurt, there's somebody on the phone." Yes, it's quite odd when bands become utterly legendary. But my memory of them has just been a young band, just kids.
Yeah,
Still have a tape of it, the interview as well, because I kept everything over the years. The good thing about the lockdown is I've been going through all my tapes because I never labelled them at the time.
mm-hmm.
But now I'm labelling them all up and I'm finding all these really old interviews. Go, oh wow, I didn't know I still had this. So it's quite a lot. I mean, I'm going to put them all up online.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few sort of legendary names out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if nothing else, it's probably a lot of fun going through them and just saying, "Okay, who in the hell is this?" And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
you've got this person. It's like, "Holy crap, I forgot that."
Yeah, and it's amazing what you find. And it's also amazing when you listen to them because if the interview's like 30, 40 years, you go right back in the room at that point in time when you did the interview.
Yeah,
And you can sort of remember what's going to get said next, and you can remember everything in the room, the sound of it. It's odd. It's like a little portal into the past,
yeah,
like a ghost thing. Yeah,
yeah. I tell you, I've only been interviewing, here on the show for a couple of months, and I'm telling my style has changed a lot, and I'm enjoying it a whole lot more. When I first started, I would use my radio voice, and I had my list of questions. I would have been like, "So, John, tell me what you're here today doing." And to me, that would just seem so canned, and you can hear that in 1,000 places. And, like right now, I've got a rough
yeah,
outline of what I want to do, but we're just having a conversation. It's going to steer itself where it wants to go.
I've always preferred it when people speak
Yeah.
in their own voices, but you sort of understand why. I mean, there's probably a certain way people like to listen to the radio, and it's in that sing-song kind of way, because they're not that engaged with it. It's just something in the background that keeps you sort of feeling okay. But if I'm listening to a piece of music or a piece of radio or reading a book, I want something that's really engaging.
Yeah.
You get completely lost inside. Background's annoying, and it's more annoying than anything, or more annoying than a road drill. But I suppose now everything is so formulated, they probably tell you how to speak on the radio. So it's great that you found a way of doing it in your own voice.
Yeah, and I look at it this way. A lot of people try and put rules on these podcasts and all these shows, and I look at it this way. I'm the one that's paid for this thing, and it's mine. It's my creativity, and there's no rules, and that's the great thing about it. When I was on radio, they told me exactly what I could play, when I could play it, what to say, and like I say, I had to use my radio voice, and I hated that. And this is a whole lot better for
weird,
me.
I imagine in 10 years' time, I'll probably just get robots to do it.
Yeah, yeah. You,
I mean, that's it probably will be AI, won't it? Like a little robot wheels going on and putting on the tunes and talking in a robot voice.
yeah.
All going to be totally replaced.
Yeah, I can hear it now. Welcome to WKXC 99.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it'll be like, won't it? Yeah.
And I used to stay in trouble with my programming director, especially when I was on overnights, because he would tell us to push taking requests. And of course, people are going to call in requests. And when I would play them, he would scold me. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you ask me to push requests? He said, well, if somebody doesn't hear their song, then they think they missed it. And if somebody does request one, and it's probably in the airplay anyway, so they'll think that you played their song, and it makes them feel like part of the show. Well, that's crap. They want to hear something. They want to hear it.
I know, but they like to control everything, don't they? What you listen to, how you listen to it. But the good thing is, with the internet, there's always space for people to do things in their own way, their own voices. It's the eternal human condition, isn't it? Being out of control or being in complete control of music is the front of that, isn't it? All the best music's made where you can hear and feel the person inside it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, if you want a robot, get a robot. If you want a person, hey, I'm your man. This is what I do. This is, how I wind down. I'm a paramedic full time, and this relaxes me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, really, isn't it? For doing it in a way you didn't really want to do it. Yeah.
When it's funny, I'll do my interviews, and I've got a lot lined up this week, and I sat down and I started editing. And when I edit, I don't really take a lot out, because to me the little background sounds and things like that just add flavor. It's part of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I was looking, I'm like, I got a lot of stuff to edit here. But, it's fun, because at the end product, hopefully people are happy with it and they listen and share it, and, it'll be good. And that makes me proud whenever me and my guest can produce something that's great.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah.
So, on music, I know you lean primarily toward punk, because you've been in punk bands. You've from the UK, and you've dealt with that a whole lot. Who do we need to look out for here coming up? Give me some good insight just on what you've heard recently. What would be some good bands to look out for? Because I love pushing people who want to work.
It's a really good scene. There's a good scene in the UK now, and these bands are doing really well. Bands like Idols, Fontaine's DC, they're all getting pretty big here. Guitar bands, they're playing to about 5,000 people a show.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just started to come out to the USA. Sleaford Mods, bands like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a big guitar band renaissance in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, there's actually a really good scene out in Europe as well. Like Holland's got some great young bands, and Russia's got some great bands. I was in Moscow last September, I saw some amazing bands there. There's a band there called Short Paris. You sound nothing like anything you've heard before, but brilliant. They have a whole room dancing. Just an amazing atmosphere. So there's so much. Everywhere you go, the stuff's leaking out. You know, I mean, Manchester, where I live, is having a renaissance of bands. It's always been a very good city for music. But in the last year, there's a whole wave of new bands coming out. Kind of doing more punk, post-punk kind of style, more experimental, but making it into a kind of pop music as well. Like Slow Readers Club, bands like that. So over here, all is cool, but I've not been to America for about 3 years, so I only hear what comes out through the record labels from America. Because I used to tour a lot of America, my bands, and the Membranes, we go over, but the visas are now so expensive, nobody over here can actually afford to get into America. So everyone's just giving up.
Yeah. Well, I know I was going to ask you, are you still doing anything with them? Or have you?
Yeah, well, at the moment, because the virus, we can't do it.
Yeah.
But we're doing a lot of music where people send files, bits of music backwards and forwards online, and then you just mix it on your laptop, on Logic Pro on your laptop. So it's you can still be creative, but you can't play to anybody because nobody can go out to gig. They're trying to get gigs started again, but it's difficult because the virus hasn't really gone away. So you have to be so careful for it not to flare back up again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're in a weird position at the moment. Obviously, everybody's really looking forward to getting out and getting on with life, but the trouble is the virus doesn't really work like that. You know, it's
Yeah.
you know, if we're in a crowded room, it's all going to start off again, flaring up. So we have to get some halfway points where we can try and get around it. So it's going to be quite a bumpy few months, really, isn't it?
Yeah. The virus doesn't care if I want to be on stage or not. Like I say, there's a lot of good creativity coming out of it. You know, a lot of people are writing now. A lot of people are recording stuff. I've seen some comedians that do their act in front of a camera, and I've tried it, and I can't do it. I feed off that crowd. But I've done some character videos, and those seem to work pretty good. But just doing regular stand up, I can't do it by myself. It just don't work.
Yeah.
I've seen a few good concerts on Zoom that I've been invited to, and that worked.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of good. At least it's music.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has to be acoustic because it's the only way to make it work. And when a band's playing live, quite often they're in different rooms. It's all mixed to make it look live. Isn't great, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
The next step is I think we'll be able to get into rooms and film gigs in a few weeks. So that'll be like a live online. It'll actually be proper live, but without a crowd. So that's the next step. Yeah. So it's like little steps, isn't it? Just trying to be patient, and it's hard being patient though in music because it moves so quickly. Yeah.
It is, you know, and I've seen this virus, you know, I've seen the downturn in it, and everybody got complacent, and it's starting to come back up again. And you know, I deal with people with it every day I go to work, and this thing doesn't discriminate. It don't care who you are, who you sleep with, who you worship, whatever. It will take you quickly.
It's a virus, and when people get angry about wearing a face mask and they don't want to be told what to do by, well, not really the government, but being told what to do by somebody else, totally understandable.
Yeah.
But the virus doesn't care about that. You can't rebel against the virus because it's just going to try and get you, isn't it? I mean, that's how they survive, by living inside a body.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably worth putting a face mask on and just putting up with it for a few months, you know, and washing your hands, all the little things. I mean, we're lucky that in a way that's all you have to do to stop it spreading. You know, it could be a far worse pandemic than the one we got. So it's only a few changes. It's not a wipeout.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, for the first 2 months, when this thing started hitting, when the only place I would be was home and work. You know, I would go to the grocery store if I had to, and when I would come home, I stayed down here in my studio. I got a nice inflatable air mattress I put down here, and I stayed down here to stay away from my wife and kids so that I didn't get them sick because I'm so high risk being on an ambulance. And luckily, I've not gotten it, and I'm real happy about that because I take all my precautions, but, you know, it can happen easily.
Yeah, yeah. It's very easy to catch it, but most people aren't that badly affected by it. But the trouble is, a few people die from it. So it could be your mum and your dad. It could be your next door neighbour. So
Yeah.
you've got to take these precautions. It's not the first time it's ever happened on the planet. There was Spanish flu in 1920. There's all different types of flu going around every 20 years, of different levels of badness. So we don't want this thing to last forever. So let's just wash our hands and put the face mask on and wait for it to go away. It's coming down in some countries and going up in others. Every day just seems to fluctuate and change, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does,
I thought it got better. It was better in New York, wasn't it? But Texas is flared up now, isn't it? So
yeah, and we're actually flaring up a little bit here in Georgia again. And the sad thing is, like I say, we can do what we learned in kindergarten and beat this thing. Don't touch each other, wash your
yeah,
hands, don't sneeze on each other, and just do what you learned in kindergarten. And people
yeah. I
don't
think
want to do it.
I think to be fair, most people are making sure they don't spread it. It's just the people. The trouble nowadays, you only hear the loudest voices, and they're not usually the wisest people, are they?
They're not. They are
So
not.
you just hear people shouting online or shouting on TV.
Yeah, and
It's the other people, the other 99% who just stay at home and make sure the thing doesn't get worse.
yep, and everybody's a Facebook doctor. I saw this
Yeah,
article the other day that says this, and it's the truth. The article's probably written by some crackhead that just had a computer in front of him. You never know. But
that's the problem, isn't it? When those guys worked out how to work computers, we had to listen to what they were saying.
yeah,
It was far better when you couldn't hear them 20 years ago.
exactly. The internet's great, but it's horrible too because now, like I say, everybody's an expert
It
on
is, isn't it?
everything.
Yeah. There's just way too much stupidity on it, isn't there? It's not a great reflection of the human race, but I just like to think that most people don't sit on the internet talking rubbish thing.
Yeah.
The voices you can't hear are the wisest voices. The quietest people usually have the most wisdom.
Yeah, I'm finding that out every day as I get older. I'm learning that. Um,
Yeah,
I have friends who have been operators in some of the special forces communities and all that, and they don't talk about it. They don't go around and say wear all the T-shirts with all the logos and all that on it. And then you get these people who talk about it and wear the T-shirts and have the big beards, and they're not even close to the caliber of these other people, and they just want you to think they're badasses. They're the loud ones, and they're not anything.
yeah. We see a lot of those on TV here. They put them in the news. But I think I've been to America a lot, and I know that's no reflection of America. Americans are some of the nicest people you'll meet on the planet. Very open people, very friendly, really good hosts, look after you. And it's, when you see a big fat bloke with a beard and a 20-foot long machine gun, to me that's not America. America is just the normal people, the grafters that made it a great country.
Yeah,
The voices that don't get heard, don't get represented or whatever.
exactly.
And I think it's a shame that the other people get on the TV because they're not really news. 20 dysfunctional blokes and machine guns is not a news story. It's just some sad blokes, nothing better to do. I want to know what the other people are thinking. The
Yeah,
people 10 miles away, that's when it gets interesting.
yeah, and it kills me because all the unrest that we had. You saw all the riots on the news, but what they didn't show was there were 100 times more peaceful protests and people just speaking their mind and learning from each other and growing. But instead, the
Yeah,
news just shows these jackasses throwing bricks through windows and stealing things. And that just
news always wants.
fans the flames.
Yeah, it always wants that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, they always want something that's a bit more spectacular, but really they just concentrate. Just go and listen to all the voices. And also we have to find solutions, so if people are a long way apart on what they think about the world and how to live,
Yeah.
You know what? If you get them in a room and stop the shouting, they usually find somewhere in the middle there's things they kind of agree on. There's usually it's getting to the same place by a completely different route. You know, and if people, and I keep thinking more and more that we need to listen to each other more than shouting at each other.
Yeah. You know, and as I get older, you know, I'm getting a lot more open-minded, and I'm learning, you know, you need to listen to people because everybody has a point of view. And mine, while I think it's right, it may not be for everybody. But, you know, everybody has to live their own life. And I've learned that, you know, I can barely be my own moral compass. I can't be yours. And if more people thought like
Yeah,
that, you know, it'd be a better place.
I think so. I think if all different factions and sides listen to each other more, it would make a big difference. Yeah.
Exactly. And they need to have music in the background. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, music. Well, it's funny music because it soothes things, but it also inflames things as well. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
But some of the greatest music does inflame, doesn't it? So, yeah, I don't think music doesn't really have to have a moral compass, does it? Fantastic music can be made by horrible people, or
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't really work. And it's not tidy, but real life is different. I think in real life you have to listen to people.
Yeah.
We have to go listen to the big blokes with the beards and see what makes them so unhappy. And you know, we're not here for that long on this planet. We have to work out how to live together, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And, you know, one thing I believe about music is it's healing. You know, a lot of people don't understand that. But, you know, I'm living proof. I had 2 strokes 5 years ago. And the first one I didn't know I had. The second one I was actually on the ambulance when I had it. And I started stuttering really bad. You couldn't hardly understand anything I said. And for about 4 months, I had that stutter. And I tried singing like Mel Tillis used to, the country singer, because he stuttered, but when he sang, he just was perfect. And it didn't work for me. And I was out in
yeah,
my little shack one day, and my wife was walking laps around the yard 'cause we had a lot of land. And I was listening to a lot of metal music. I was listening to Five Finger Death Punch and Metallica, things like that. And a guitarist named Monty Montgomery, he's from Texas. He plays an acoustic electric Alvarez, and he is just amazing. And he redid Romeo and Juliet from Dire Straits. And I just decided I wanted to hear that. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I was listening to it and realized I was singing it perfectly. And I played it probably 10
yeah.
times, and I called my wife over, and I got to tell her the first clear "I love you" she'd heard in 4 months. And, you know, the music helped. And, you know, I'm a believer. It helps. It heals.
Oh
And,
yeah, completely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes you to a place that, you know, I can't tell you what I had for lunch 20 years ago, but you can name a song and I can tell you where I was when I heard it the first time.
It is the most powerful art form, isn't it?
It is.
Also, I think you should listen without prejudice as well. You know, if you like metal music and loud music,
Yeah.
you can like classical or you can like ambient as well. You know, you don't have to like just one style of music because it's approved by everybody you know. You can listen to anything for different reasons, can't you?
Yeah. And if you look at my playlist, I've got everything from Wayne Newton to Metallica to Eminem to you name it. I've got them on there, you know, because
It's a healthy way to live.
yeah,
Yeah, listen with a broad mind. You know, it's good. It's good for you. It's good for your soul, isn't it?
it is. It is.
Even the type of music you don't like initially, you can find ways in. There's a good bass line. You might not like the vocals, but there might be a great rhythm or a great drum track or something. So there's always different ways of listening to the same piece of music, isn't there?
Yeah, and I've learned, you know, a lot of times the songs that are released, you know, as the singles, well, I may not like that. If I dig into the album, there's always at least 1 or 2 songs on the album that I'm like, why didn't they release this? This is amazing, you know. And I've learned a lot of good music like that. And,
Yeah.
but that's the record companies, and they decide what to put out, and yeah, it is what it is. But I dig and I find really good music like that.
Well, sometimes they put great stuff out as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Oh man. Well, John, I tell you, man, I've had a ball talking to you today. Is there
No,
anything
thanks for your time.
anything that you'd like for
Yeah.
me to promote for you?
Just ask Eileen. She'll have some links.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that'll definitely work. And if you need now, when y'all come back to America to tour, or even if you just come to visit, if you come to Atlanta, keep this phone
Yeah, I'd love
number.
to come back one day after the virus. I probably won't be playing gigs because we can't play there now in British pounds, but it's too expensive, because the visa thing. It's
Oh.
$5,000 to get visas, so
Ooh.
that's why you don't really see many non-stadium British bands touring America. It's just got really expensive.
Yeah.
So we're sort of locked out. But I might come for my holidays instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you come to
Yeah,
Atlanta for any reason, you call me. I'll feed you like you've
yeah,
never
that'd
been
be
fed
great.
before.
I'd love to go again. I
Oh
like
yeah.
the city. Yeah,
Yeah. Like I say, I will make sure you are fed well because that's one thing I do.
thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Hey,
Yeah.
anytime, and I appreciate you coming on here, John. You need me, you give me a call.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.